Welcome to the 29th episode of Season Tickets. I'm Michael.
And I'm Max, about to go on Thanksgiving break.
Since there are no Fairview sports this week, once again, as we're going from fall sports into winter sports, we go into our recap of the two big college basketball games that happened in the Champions Classic. And Kentucky beat Duke in a game that I got right. Grayson Allen could not get going all day, and the Kentucky Wildcats freshman definitely played very well and got Kentucky the win. Max, what happened in the other Champions Classic game?
In a pretty good game between Michigan State and Kansas, Denzel Valentine had a triple-double, and Michigan State ended up beating Kansas, and Mike got that one right.
And now we are going into our upset special of the week, and I'm going to take UCLA over Utah, as I picked against Utah, I believe, for the third time here. Got one right, got one wrong, so hopefully I can get a second one right, and the Bruins can get a win over Utah. Max, what's your upset special of the week?
I'm going to go with Cal over Stanford. Cal has a very good passing attack, and if they can play the least bit of defense, they might be able to pull this one out.
Yeah, kind of interesting. Our last four upset special picks of the week have been in the Pac-12, kind of showing
I think all the ones I converted on were in the Pac-12. Like, I got Northwestern, Stanford right, and UCLA and Cal, I think it was.
Yeah, kind of showing how many good unranked teams the Pac-12 has, but no great teams they have. And now we go into our prediction of the big games of the week, and we start off with LSU versus Ole Miss. And I'm going to take LSU, as I think Leonard Fournette finally gets back going and gets the Tigers rolling again. Max, who do you have?
I'm going to go with LSU, too. Leonard Fournette is probably the best player in the country, I think. And if that kid gets going, it's game over pretty much for Ole Miss. As Ole Miss has had their struggles this year, but I'm looking for a great game in that one.
And USC takes Oregon in a Pac-12 showdown. Max, who do you have?
I'm going to go with Oregon this one. Ever since Vernon Adams came back healthy, they've seemed to be on a roll, and the offense is clicking again. And I think that they can pull this one out.
Yeah, these are two teams definitely headed in the right direction, but I'm going to take USC, as I think finally getting their coaching situation figured out. I think that this team is very talented and should have the talent to get the win over Oregon. And now we go into a Big Ten battle between Northwestern and Wisconsin. And I'm going to take Wisconsin, as I haven't been fully impressed with Northwestern this season, and they seem to always fade in Big Ten play. So I'm going to take the Badgers to get the win in this one. Max, who do you have?
I'm going to go with Northwestern in this one. I haven't been impressed with Wisconsin this year, nor have I really been impressed with Northwestern, other than their Week 1 win. But I see them beating Wisconsin, as this is not as good of a Wisconsin team as we've seen in the past few years.
And now we go into one of the biggest games of the year so far, and that's Michigan State versus Ohio State. Max, who do you have?
You know, I don't like picking Ohio State games as an Ohio State fan, but I'm going to go with OSU in this one. Michigan State has pulled out a few victories right out of their behinds, as you saw the Michigan debacle. And, I guess you can say the same for Ohio State, but I think Ohio State has looked better than Michigan State. And with this game being in OSU with Connor Cook a little bit hurt from last week, I think Ohio State wins by maybe 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I totally agree. Michigan State has won a bunch of close games. They start off the year 0-6 against the spread, and I definitely think Ohio State gets this one done. We still haven't even seen Ohio State play their best football so far.
No.
So once they figure it out, I definitely think Ohio State will be rolling, and I think they start to figure out in this game before their big clash versus
And if you
Michigan.
remember last year, they hadn't really won any games very impressively, and then they went into Michigan State and won by double digits against a top 10 team. I seriously think Ohio State's best football is still ahead of them, and I think they'll play better against better teams like Michigan and Michigan State.
And now we go into two massive Big 12 games, and Baylor takes on Oklahoma State. I'm going to take Baylor, sticking with picking the Bears on this show. I really believe in them, and I think Jared Stidham can lead the Bears, and I don't think Oklahoma State is as good as advertised. I think they've beaten overrated TCU team. Max, who do you have?
I'm going to go with Baylor, too, as well. It's going to be a tough road game, but I think their offense still is very good. Oklahoma plays some good defense, unlike most teams do in the Big 12. And I see them getting a big road victory.
And now in another Big 12 showdown, TCU takes on Oklahoma. Max, who do you have?
I'm going to go Oklahoma in this one. TCU has looked overrated this year, and Trayvon Boykin was knocked out in the first quarter last week, didn't return, so who knows what his status is. And Oklahoma looked very good against Baylor on the road, playing some pretty good defense, and Baker Mayfield has that offense going.
Yeah, I think the Oklahoma versus Baylor game was the two best teams in the Big 12, so I'm going to take Oklahoma in this one. I'm very shaky about picking TCU after only beating Kansas by, 6 points, so I'm definitely going to take Oklahoma in this game. But now we actually have to preview the games for next week as well as we are on break. So Navy takes on Houston in an AAC game that could decide the division winner. Max, who do you have?
You know, this is a tough one for me because I like watching Navy and their wacky triple option offense. But I'm going to go with Houston in this one. Houston's looked great this year, and I think that they keep it up and they somehow stop Navy's offense to a degree. I think we're going to have a high-scoring game with a lot of quarterback running touchdowns between Keenan Reynolds and Greg Ward.
Yeah, this could break a record for most quarterback rushing touchdowns, as I believe Greg Ward is like top 2 in the country for rushing touchdowns.
And Keenan Reynolds has like a national record.
Yeah, I was just getting to that. He just broke the career record for most rushing touchdowns in a career. I'm going to take Navy. I think they're a better overall football team than Houston, and I'm not 100% sure how good Greg Ward is going to be coming off an injury. But now we go into the Baylor versus TCU game. Max, who do you have?
I'm going to go with Baylor again, as TCU is a little bit overrated. And I think we're going to see like a basketball-type game, just up and down, lots of scoring. These two teams will score more in this game than their basketball teams will score against each other. But, I think Stidham's a very good freshman quarterback. With Corey Coleman and KD Cannon, this offense can blow up and go nuts anytime.
Yeah, I'm going to take Baylor as well. I think they get it done against
Especially
TCU.
with TCU's DBs after what I saw against Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I totally agree. TCU's defense has been banged up all season, and I definitely think that they get it done and Baylor gets the win. But now we go into the Notre Dame versus Stanford game, and I'm going to take Notre Dame because I haven't been impressed with Stanford all year. They almost lost to Washington State on a field goal that would have gotten you an upset special, right? But they won that game, and I think they've just been squeaking games by. They finally lost to Oregon. I think it was coming in due time, and I'm going to take Notre Dame because I think they're just a much better overall football team. Max, who do you have?
I'm going to take Notre Dame too. Deshaun Kaiser, he had a rough start against Clemson his first start, but ever since then, he's looked very good. And Notre Dame's just playing good football at the moment, and I think that they're a better team than Stanford, and I think they get a big win that could essentially maybe boost them into the playoffs, but who knows what the committee's thinking and whatever.
Yeah, I don't think anyone knows what the committee's thinking, but Oklahoma takes on Oklahoma State in a state showdown. Max, who do you have?
I'm going to go with Oklahoma again. They've been playing great football. I think the road test, they already survived Baylor, which is a very hard place to play. If you've seen their students run into their seats, you can tell it's a pretty crazy atmosphere there. And, rivalry game, anything can happen, but I do think Oklahoma is just the better team than Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'm going to take Oklahoma as well. Oklahoma went to Baylor. Baylor had like a 20-game home winning streak. They got the victory, and I think they go into Oklahoma State and get a big victory. But now we are going into our preview of the game, and Ohio State takes on Michigan. Max, who do you have?
Again, I don't like picking Ohio State games, but I'm going to go with Ohio State again, too. I'm excited to watch this one. This is the best game between these two and forever. I don't remember how long it's been since they played each other ranked. And I think going into the Big House, it's going to be a very tough test for Ohio State. But I do think that they're going to win the game. I think they're a better team than Michigan right now. And I see it being a very close game, as this game normally is, even when the two teams are, one's like 9-0 or 11-0 and the other's like won like 6 games. It's a weird game sometimes. But I do see Ohio State winning this, as I do think they are the flat-out better team.
Yeah, I'm going to take Ohio State as well. I think it's going to be such a good game, down to the wire, a very good overall football game between two great teams. I think people are kind of underestimating Michigan. They lost that really fluky game to Michigan State, and they also lost to Utah in a really close game, and Utah is a very good football team as well. So I think Michigan is definitely one of the top 10 teams in the country, but I do think Ohio State gets it done. I would be very surprised if Ohio State wins this game by double digits. I'm going to go with the Buckeyes, but definitely in a close game. And now we go into another huge rivalry game that could have playoff implications between Florida State and Florida. Max, who do you have?
I'm going to go with Florida. Even with Treon Harris playing quarterback without Will Grier, they've looked pretty dang good. Their only loss is to LSU, and I think that they strengthen their resume kind of to maybe sneak in the playoff by beating Florida State. And what do you got, Mike?
I got Florida. I think that they're a better overall football team. I've been picking them all year. I hopped on their bandwagon very early in the season, and they've came up big in some games. So I'm going to keep picking them, and I think they get done in this big rivalry game and head into the SEC championship game with some momentum. But before we do end our episode today, we are going to be doing a couple previews of the NFL games, and the Vikings take on the Packers, and I'm going to take the Vikings because I haven't been impressed with the Packers this past couple weeks. They've been playing some pretty poor football overall, and they're just not playing well. Max, who do you have?
I'm going to go with the Packers in this one. I think they get right back on track, and the Vikings have been squeaking out games. They don't do anything real stellar. I mean, they play some good defense, but offensively, they're nothing real stellar outside of Adrian Peterson. And I can see the Packers getting back on track this week with a good win against the Vikings. And it would, tie for first in that division?
Yeah, and Arizona takes on Cincinnati, and I'm going to go with the Bengals because I've been picking them all season, and they haven't let me down until that Houston game. So I think they stay on track to be one of the top 2 seeds in the AFC and get a victory. Max, who do you have?
I'm going to go with Arizona in this one. The Bengals have some great receivers with Sanu, Marvin Smith, and A.J. Green. And I see Arizona's very good secondary shutting them down. And I can see Carson Palmer having a good game, as well as Chris Johnson. And we're going to go into the games next week while we're on break. And there's a huge, colossal matchup between Denver and New England. Who do you got, Mike?
I'm going to go with New England. I just think they're a better overall team. Max, who do you have?
I'm going to go with New England, too. It's hard to pick against them right now. And I doubt Peyton Manning will be playing that week. And so, depending on how Brock Osweiler does this week, I definitely see New England probably getting a very big win.
And Minnesota takes on Atlanta in the final game we will be previewing this episode. Max, who do you have?
I'm going to go with the Vikings in this one. Atlanta has Julio and Devontae Freeman. But outside of that, they're not that great of a team. And I see the Vikings running all over him with Adrian Peterson.
I got the Vikings as well. And that will wrap it up for this episode of Season Tickets. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like and also subscribe for more Season Ticket videos.